Welcome to Turku Saatanalle 2025 edition. Here we are at Metsämäki horse racing track. Really, we're all about racing horses and shit. No, seriously speaking, this time we have a special guest from Brazil, which is like a million miles away from Finland, where we are right now, and this is Power from Hell. Now, the man in question, please, sir, introduce yourself, and why the fuck are you here with me?
My name is Aaron, also known by the stage name Sodomic or Sodomic. I'm the guitarist and vocalist in the Brazilian black metal band Power from Hell, and I'm here to have a nice conversation with you.
We'll start with the names this time. So first of all, what the hell is so important in Sodomy that it became your stage name?
When I started this band, I was a young kid. Fascinated for all the bands from the 80s. And sodomy, lust, that came naturally for me. Okay, Sodomic, I'm gonna try to put the words together, and that's it.
Kind of a classic old school. You're like a enthusiastic kid, and you just want to go for badass words, and that's about it.
The same happened with the name of the band.
Yeah, what about Power from Hell? That can be seen as a very, very cool name, or a little bit like, what the hell is this all about?
Again, I was a young kid, 18, 19 years old when I started this band, and that time specifically, I was completely addicted in the Onslaught, the British band, their first album, Power from Hell. I was addicted and listened to that album all day long. So yeah, that's it, Power from Hell. That would be the name.
So if you were like in the similar fashion for Slayer, you could be Raining Blood, or
exactly.
You could be Ride the Lightning.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, it makes sense. So it's kind of a tribute name in that sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you feel about this, old love of a band these days? Have your mind changed about like music tends to change in terms of like what you like and all that stuff, or is it still the special one for you?
Yeah, it still is the special one. Of course, some people heard this name for the first time and think, oh, this is probably a speed metal band, a thrash metal band.
It kind of has a feeling to it.
But I consider Power from Hell a black metal band since the day one. Yeah. So yeah. I don't care so much what people think. So.
Yeah, and genres are always up for debate. One thing that I hate as a, some kind of a wannabe journalist or whatever, as a reviewer, when people are really strict about, okay, this is black, this is thrash, this is death metal. And when you go back into the history, they are kind of a blend together. If I remember correctly, I think on Metal Archives it was listed as a black thrash, and when you start reading about that and then listening to your music, you're like, yeah, I can kind of agree. But if you kind of come from the angle, hey, it's black metal, and you combine it with the idea this is from Latin America, it makes sense in so many ways. It's very, very different than, say, Nordic kind of black metal or Greek kind of black metal. Which brings me to my very question: why this particular style? Which bands were you to kind of these are the bands that we're gonna be inspired by?
Okay, I started this band because of Battery. That's it. I want to have a band sounding like Battery, and not just. This band, it was a studio project for over 10 years. So I wanted to sound like Battery. It was the main influence, and also I didn't want to play live. Like Corton can never play live with Battery. So yeah, was the main influence for me. Battery to start the band. Yeah.
Now I have to ask you, as a big Battery fan of myself, which era of Battery is the one that really nailed it for you? We're not obviously going to talk about Battery, but Power from Hell, but being a favorite or most inspiring band, which album was the kind of that triggered you into like, this is the shit I'm gonna do?
I could say that the first one would be a fucking cliche. What is true, but Under the Sign of the Black Mark is special for me. All the elements in black metal for me is in that album.
Yeah, it's like the pinnacle moment in a way before that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Very much, I can totally sign up for that.
Yeah.
Now, Brazil is, of course, a big, huge country. And, of course, with the big history got a part in extreme metal. We don't really need to recap all the bigger names, but everybody, of course, knows the bands like Sepultura, Sarcophago, and all that stuff. So how important were these bands domestic to you in terms of shaping out what you want to do instead of just following inspiration from a underground band from Sweden?
Being very honest, Jerry, not at all. I love early Sepultura. I love Ainery from Sarcophago, but they didn't inspire me to start Power from Hell.
Yeah.
Not at all. I was captured by Battery, by Dark Throne, this bands from the north.
Yeah.
Why? I have no idea.
So it's just like a mystical.
Yeah, this had a better conversation with me when I listened for the first time this band. So yeah, but of course I have our respect and I love the early albums from Sepultura, Sarcophago, Vulcano, etc. But I cannot say they influenced me at all in my band, in this band, Power from Hell, not at all.
So you're coming from Brazil, a land, a country known for a lot of like warm climate, passionate Latina people, where passion is everything, and everybody, even in Europe, knows that when you go to Latin American countries, you know that people are gonna be super crazy, super passionate. Probably the wildest audience there is to be for the audience. And on the other side of the world, when we come to the Nordic countries, people are more introverted. Everything is cold and chill and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you find this clash like intriguing? Like, do you see like kind of a combination in a yin and yang, black and white kind of a thing when you combine the Brazilian passion to the Nordic thing here? Are these totally like meaningless?
I mean, not just Brazil. I mean, most country in South America, any band that ever play there, they feel the same energy. They are crazy. Actually, there's a video on my Instagram account, a show in Bogota, Colombia, 2019, I believe it's 2019. It's possible you see a girl in the middle of the crowd with her nose broke, singing our songs out loud. So I believe we're never going to see something like this in Europe.
No, most likely not.
So, the reaction of the audience here is a little bit colder. But, I mean, they show their support. For example, after the gig, some of them talk to you, they go to the merch, they buy merch. So it's the way that they show, I enjoy your band. I mean, maybe most of them, they don't show this during the concert, but they do after. So
yeah, I'm a very typical guilty as charged kind of a guy. I'm like arms crossed, and then some people are like, "Do you hate this band?" No, I fucking love it. But you don't see it in the facial expression. It's kind of typical. Yeah. But people are like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a patch or a shirt or album or whatever."
Exactly. Yeah.
And talking about albums and all, and this is kind of a stupid, but also one of the regular questions. What I always want to ask people is, are you more of a live band or studio band? Studio band meaning is more making new albums and new songs more important than live, or vice versa?
As I told you, for 10 years, this band was a studio project, just releasing an album. Until 2014, we did our first shows in Colombia and Brazil. And I cannot deny the energy to be on stage is fucking awesome. But I also love all the process to writing an album, go to the studio. I could say it's 50-50, yeah.
So guns pointing ahead, which one you would give it? 51 person.
But, yeah. Okay.
I know it's annoying.
Yeah. Playing live, yeah. I say 51%
okay,
live.
So do you feel like the 10 first years, like, fuck, I should have started doing live right away?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Talking about live, so which are some of your favorite, memories of, playing live? Are there certain moments that you really like, made you like kind of a pivotal moments, like, wow, this is why I fucking love this?
Okay, I believe our first time in Colombia, that was our first live concert ever, was Open Air Festival in Medellin, and we were the headliners. Probably they have over 1,000 people. And when I saw people singing the songs of our first album, The True Metal, I was in shock. But how is that possible? I started this project 10 years ago with no big meaning behind, and 10 years later, I'm here in another country. People are asking to take in photos with me, sign vinyls and singing the songs. This is stuck in my mind forever. It was a very special moment. The other one was here in Europe, 2021. We played in Austria, in Innsbruck, in Austria, and that was during the COVID times.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in Europe, they are over a year without a single gig, a single show. So that showed to me how human have the tendency to give more value when you don't have something all the time easy. You know what I mean?
When it's not taken for granted.
Exactly. So the reaction of the audience that night, it looked like we're playing Brazil or Colombia. They were wild. They were crazy. So I never saw nothing like that in Europe. So yeah, it was a very special moment also. Yeah.
Talking about beyond music are also, of course, lyrics, cover images, and all that stuff. How much incorporating, the right kind of a feeling, right kind of meaning, right kind of message means to, in order to fit in the music, the riffs and all.
And okay, again, when I started this band, I was a young kid, so I was trying to put anything on the paper to try to shock. Even if you check the first lyrics, not just from Power Royale, most bands of Latin America, bands for 20, 25, 30 years ago, you see a lot of broken English.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Sometimes we call it actually evil English.
Yeah. So I was put anything on the paper, no big meaning behind. A lot of, that time, it was a lot of sexual themes, sadism on the lyrics, usually in a silly way. And as time went on, I evolved as a musician, as a human being, and I started to explore more deep meanings about human nature, about how Abrahamic religions control this world, make us slaves, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but of course, the sexual themes, they are still there but in a more subtle way.
Yeah.
You need to read between the lines, because I believe in the end of the day, sex is the Achilles heel of mankind, especially of the Puritans. And believe it or not, there's a lot of Puritans disguised as metalheads inside the scene.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Don't you find it ironic that at the same time when these religions are more like, okay, sexuality, no nudity, but then at the same time, hey, please fill the land with the people, so make babies, and all the time, and you're like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to do? Have the clothes on, lights off, and still make babies? Like, no, I'm not actually interested in your sexuality, but let's make babies.
Exactly.
Don't you find kind of like contradicting? And these people are giving the instructions how we're supposed to, bring and build society.
Yeah, they're totally hypocrites. You know what I mean? Like most part of religions are. I believe all of them are. So
pretty much.
Yeah, that's why I always believe that this is a main work of black metal, attack religions all the time, always. This is the true black metal for me, in bands that explored this, attacking the Abrahamic religions.
Some people say that, Christianity these days is toothless, that we should also attack more like other Abrahamic religions, like say Islam mostly. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, I don't know, if you go at the sea of Latin America, South America, that's pretty much all covered with Catholic religions, very old school, conservative, anti-abortion, all kinds of crazy laws. And I'm like, how is this not relevant to these days? Like, are these people clueless? But what is your take? I don't obviously live there, but you do. How do you see religions affecting people in everyday life when we're talking about Brazil and South America in general? As
you told it, Brazil, not just Brazil, most countries in South America are extremely religious. Christianity usually rules the continent. And they are everywhere. It's insane because churches in Brazil, they don't pay taxes. Yeah. So,
God need money.
Yeah, you see churches opening every day, everywhere. Yeah. So it's ridiculous. They are also getting involved with politicians, with sometimes in crime organizations. It's total bullshit, man. It's insane, actually. Yeah.
Now, Brazil is also known in very many weird ways, seen as a somewhat compatible with, far-right, politics when it comes to the history. Even some bands from the Brazilian underground are known for supporting very much the 1940s Nazi Germany and all that stuff, which makes some of the people outside Brazil thinking like, what the hell is going on? And of course, it has been in the interviews also being attacked. Bands like Mystifier is all like, of course, like fuck you all Nazis and all that stuff. As a Brazilian, how do you see this underground metal scene revolving around Brazilian politics regarding history and all? And why this is even happening?
Good question. Really good question. I mean, talking about this Nazi stuff situation, in Brazil, it's considered crime, any kind of Nazi propaganda. As far as I know, I don't believe it's the same in Chile or Colombia. For example, a band like Satanic War Master, they play in South America, I believe 2 years ago or last year.
Yeah.
They play in Colombia, they play in Ecuador, but they didn't play in Brazil.
Yeah.
Because they are considered a Nazi band, so they're not welcome. Even Mayhem was cancelled.
I noticed. That was a year ago or so, maybe 2 years ago. I remember making a video about it and trying to read, and it took me quite a bit of Googling to find out it was some local politician or even a teacher who was very much like propagating some ideas like you shouldn't have Mayhem here. And then it was like, okay, Mayhem might be an extreme metal band in so many other ways, but what's their political take? Because there is no obvious ones except for some random comments taken out of context.
Exactly.
But it got cancelled there at certain cities.
I believe it was two gigs in Brazil, two different cities. And yeah, man, it was that became a real joke in Brazil, in metal scene in Brazil, because how the fuck Mayhem played in Brazil so many times before that. And after this canceled in Brazil, they flew straight to Israel.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And nobody was like, so no problem.
But I don't know, man. At the same time, I think this is a good thing because, for example, probably Mayhem, they will never go back to Brazil. Yeah. So this is gonna teach a lesson for these people. You know what I mean?
So like you don't deserve these bands because you cancel it in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's kind of true.
This is ridiculous. So yeah, man. I tried not to get involved. I don't have patience anymore for this kind of bullshit. Not just in Brazil. I mean, we know that a lot of things happen here, also in Europe. So no, man, it's not for me. It's too much drama. So come on, I'm a man of 40 years old. I don't have patience for this anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, it feels like it's a whole different world where we are now at the moment. The world is in turmoil with geopolitics and all that stuff, and most of us, at least as far as it comes to me, I don't really give a fuck about these political party situations, but somehow we are sucked in because you like wrong band, you have a wrong patch, you have a band shirt that is sometimes related to something that, and I'm like, what the fuck? I just listen to the tunes and tempos and all that stuff, so it kind of gets weird. Which takes me to the next question. I was having a conversation with a Colombian friend of mine and talking about the history of extreme metal and related to punk rock and all that stuff, and it seems like, for example, in Finland and I guess in a way places like Norway, UK and all that stuff, it's a little bit different in terms of Latin America, where people can get into some kind of a fights or what scene or part of scene you are. What's your experience in terms, did you have to prove like, hey, I'm worthy of this band shirt, or you can support these guys and these guys at the same time, or was it as cliche as it sounds like you have to prick your own tribe?
I don't know about Colombian scene, but in Brazil, I mean, this used to happen in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I remember when I started to attending concerts when I was 13, 14. So yeah, it's to be like dangerous in like.
And that's what my friend was referring to.
Yeah. But I mean, nowadays or in the last 15, 20 years, in Brazil it's completely okay. I mean, you go up to a black metal concert, you see kids with Korn t-shirts. And
nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck. Yeah, but in the 90s, 80s, in the 90s, things were more tough, more.
Yeah, like proving, like scanning you, like, okay, can we see kind of a poster?
Like Terminator movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like your eyes are blinking with red, like,
exactly.
Okay, wrong kind of a pentagram, shoot the motherfucker.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, talking of which, do you think it's actually in a better place that metal world is now more, say, accepting and more open to the new generation, kids and all, or people of different style, or would you rather prefer the more elitistic gatekeeping ways of the old.
Speaking about black metal, yeah, I prefer it be more elitist, more.
Metal in general.
I know metal in general for me it's okay. I mean, I have no problem with a new kid discovering Metallica. I don't mean this whole Motorhead.
Yeah.
This band is essential, by the way. But thinking about extreme metal, specifically black metal, I don't like how things are going on nowadays.
Yeah, well, I guess we agree with a lot of that stuff because it's been very much on the topic. Like some people are bitching about gatekeeping, and then I feel like we need more gatekeeping because things are getting like, being diluted. The whole idea of the set against religious and organizations and the values, anti-establishment, and somehow it's becoming like, no, you cannot say this, no, you can't say that, and I'm like, what the fuck is extreme metal in the first place?
Exactly.
Now that we covered a little bit of your music and lyrics and your ideas and all that stuff, where you see Power from Hell going? Because your latest album is quite different, polished in a very, very positive way, I'd like to make sure, compared to some of the earlier works. So it seems like not only as a person you're evolving, but also the music has been evolving and even taken to a new level. Yeah. So where do you see the band going? Is it abandoning its older, dirtier roots while, kind of embracing more stronger, better production? And
I got it. As I told you, when I recorded this first album, our first album, I had 18 years old, 19. So for me nowadays, it don't feel natural. I start to play guitar and I create the same kind of riffs, the same kind of songs. As I told you, everything within me and around me evolved. So, and actually, if you think in the history of rock and roll metal, we have just a few bands that they kept doing the same kind of song forever. AC/DC, Motorhead, Ramones.
Yeah, that's pretty much of it. Maybe Iron Maiden.
But even the main band that made me start Power from Hell, Battery, completely different. Yeah. Battery from the 80s, Battery from the 90s. So everything evolved in music. Power from Hell is no different. So probably, I'm not thinking yet about the next album, but probably the next album will follow the same path. Our latest album, Shadows of Burning Light, and but everything comes naturally when I start to think about an album. Start to write new music, so things start to come naturally for me. I don't think too much, like 2 years in the future I'm gonna make this kind of songs, this kind of lyrics. No, for me it's the things need to come naturally, you know what I mean, when I start to write music.
Now, pretty much, and I'm making a wild generalization here, is that every musician I know, at some point, they want to do something else. Either they are a little bit having a writer's block with this given style, or then they want to explore a little bit further. Like I say, black metal person wants to do progressive metal album, or death metal guy wants to do a little bit more jazzy, or just something.
Yeah.
Do you have this urge that, well, I made a great song, but this doesn't feel Power from Hell, and I want to put it somewhere for people to hear? Do you get those ideas? And when you do, what do you do with them?
Actually, not. During my whole life, I've been playing a death metal band called Anarchon. Now it's a side project, and Power from Hell. So my whole life I've been playing death metal and black metal. So
don't you get ever ideas like, hey, this could be really fucking great song, but
no. Okay. Because as I told you, when I decide to, it's time to start to thinking the new album.
Yeah.
Oh, is the new album of Power from Hell? I'm gonna put all my mind, my focus, my energy in Power from Hell. Oh, is the new album from my death metal band? You be it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't try to, I try not to mix things. I try to separate things in my head. Okay, death metal time, it's black metal time.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So that you have different outlets.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that very much among my friends, even myself, that sometimes a riff is a fucking keep playing, but doesn't fit your whatever main brand is.
Okay, I got it.
Well, okay, so you don't plan ahead so much with songwriting and all, but what about gigs? Obviously, gigs need to be planned these days more than ever because the world seems to be very much in a different level, in a positive way, than before COVID.
Yeah.
And nowadays, there's so many metal festivals and so many events. How much you kind of schedule these things, and how important it is to you to have a lot of these gigs and tours planned before you can move on?
We have been working with an agency here in Europe, Absolbuchen from Germany. In United States, we have a tour manager. Shout out to my friend Owen in LA. And in South America, in Brazil, I take care of the things by myself. So we depend on them. And here in Europe, our guy in United States. So, but usually everything is prepared for at least 1 year later. For example, this morning I got some emails. Probably we're gonna play in an important festival in the United States in March of next year. We're working, so 1 year we are preparing things already. So usually we work like that. Minimum 1 year, sometimes 2 years, planning the gigs or the tours. Yeah.
All right, that sounds like very professional.
Yeah.
Do you find it stressful to handle all these, say, extracurricular activities versus creating music, which is usually the main thing people want to do, music? Or do you just feel it like part of the charm to, meet and greets and sign the albums and do the interviews and do these extra plannings?
It's part of the game. I mean, I believe here in Europe, or even in the United States, things is more calm, it's more easy. But in South America, in some countries of South America, it's crazy. For example, in Colombia, people, they showed so much support for Power from Hell. So I remember our last gig in Bogota, 2022. We were in the backstage, and I went to the merch to talk with our tour manager, and some people saw me at the merch table, and it was impossible to come back to the backstage. I don't know, 30, 40, 50 people surrounded me to asking for photos, etc. So yeah, I mean, this is it's a little bit weird for me because come on, I'm just a regular guy playing metal, playing black metal, but I try to understand that it's part of the game. For some people, the art that you create, it's very important. So important that they want to touch you, they want to take a picture with you, they want to shake your hand. So I respect that.
Well, that's a very, very healthy approach to it.
Yeah.
All right. Final question. Word to the wise. What kind of advice you would tell, say, someone like your younger version? What would you do different? What kind of advice you'd like? Okay, when you choose to play guitar, consider this or don't do this and that mistake.
You say in life or in metal?
Like, well, more about the band context. Do you want to be an aspiring musician and you want to avoid these and these mistakes, or you want to do this and that in order to become, I don't know, good?
Okay, I mean, if you start young, most bands and musicians, they start very young, their bands, so do whatever you want to do. I mean, don't think too much about the future, live the moment and do whatever you want to do, because I don't know, remember the cemeteries are full of people that thought they had more time, so do what you want to do.
That's a very, very good ending statement. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you, Jerry.
So, people, do your homework now. You probably have figured out what this band is all about, and since all the necessary links are included in the description box, now it's your time to maybe go for your favorite streaming platform and just check out the music. And if you like it, you buy it. And of course, when you have the possibility, go to see these guys live. We're gonna do the same exactly tonight. And of course, by the time you see it, you already know what I'm talking about. Now, people, off you go. This is Turku Saatanalle. This is Power from Hell. This is Rauta. Good night. Thank you. And then now, thank you. And now,